Hey everyone, we are back. It's October 18th. Um, isn't it October? Yeah, it's October 18th, Monday, October 18th.
Yes, sir.
Had a busy week last week, James. What do you say?
Yeah, it was very busy, very interesting. It was great to be a part of all the meetings and everything that we attended. Everything that, you know, the information and everything. Almost went into information overload.
Yeah, I mean, it was so for those who don't know, we had the great opportunity of actually speaking at an event with the Gwinnett Solicitor's Office last week. And then we went to another event hosted by the DA's office down there. But it was geared around our youth, really talking about our youth. And it's something that we've been working on tremendously hard because right now we're starting to realize that our youth are like where we have to start catching a lot of these people at. And a lot of these kids that we have to start catching when they're young. And I think that this go Ryan is something a lot that, I mean, if we don't catch them while they're young, we can't complain about them ending up in the system when they're older.
Right.
But it was I thought it was a really intense dialogue, and she's extremely passionate about it. It brought together a whole bunch of different nonprofits. I think in churches, over 40 people in the room. What?
Yes.
Not at least.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely that, at least 30, 35 minimum, I would say. But yeah, close to, yeah, well over that, I believe. But yeah, it was, I tell you, man, the speakers, the gentleman that, especially the young man who's stood up and told his story, Curtis, I believe it is. That young man, boy, wow, that was really powerful. His testimony that he shared with us, it was really outstanding, man. And I can only imagine, I can only imagine what it is, how he was feeling being in that room with us.
I mean, I think about myself personally, like it's been way, way longer since I've been in the system than he has.
Right.
And get a voice in those rooms until more like the last 4 or 5 years of probably like the last 10 or 11 years of my life. But still, just to be able to heal, I think he was a month out from
Yes,
being out of prison.
that is correct.
And for that and for him to already be willing to and ready to do that work now is amazing. To him to be ready to say, I'm ready to go back to the youth and I'm ready to talk to the youth. And he talked about his brother who was murdered and his other brother who's currently in jail from following his footprints. And we talked a lot about parenting and about really working with parents because it doesn't just start. And it's something I learned recently. Like I was talking to a friend of mine the other day and they were talking about their dog and how their dog takes on like their characteristics and how like the dog is an example of who they are. And it made me realize that even in household nowadays, like our children are really a replication of who we are and how we raise them. And we have to work not only when we talk about youth and we talk about making progress when it comes to youth, we can't do that without dealing with the parents as well, I think.
Yes. As a parent, our children are a reflection of who we are. Likewise, spiritually, we are a reflection of who Christ is and the Word of God. There was 3 points that I really took from these meetings. One was the youth and getting them in at getting to them at a much younger age. There was the system was the third part. You made mention of the first 2, but the third part was making the change in the system. That is a huge part of all of this. It's imperative that the system be revamped, through legislation and through laws. It's a key component. If it continues to, without making those necessary changes, things really kind of continue to work the way they have been working. And we can, no matter what we do with our children at home as parents and raising our children, when they leave the house, they're kind of on their own. And the system has an opportunity to take advantage of them and does. Because when, they'll talk to your kids without you being present. They'll talk to your kids without representation, and and then kind of coerce the children, and talk them into an alleyway that the child is just not prepared to deal with. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. Part of it is that we have to be. Sorry, you may have lost me for a second. Am I back?
Yes.
We have to be real aware, even with our kids and our parenting. We have to also just be real aware that I think what we've lost in society is that whole village to raise a child mentality.
Yes.
Yeah, like that should not happen. Like if a child gets in trouble in school, a school should not force them to give a statement, to sign paperwork without a parent being involved. Definitely when a child is younger, like 13, 14, 15, younger than that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, we got to be, parents have become so ultra sensitive that no one can talk to the child, and no one can tell the child what to do, and no one can rebuke their child. And the problem that I have is that if we don't do it as a society, then the system will do it for you. And as we talked about, the system is not fair. We know the system is not fair. We know the system is very biased. We know the system is very unequal, right? But systematic changes happen, but they don't happen overnight. What does happen overnight is how I raise my child, how I discipline my child, the type of values that I build within my child. And at the end of the day, I don't care. I get the theory of children will grow up one day and they'll have their own mind, they'll have their own way. But listen, nobody can tell me that a child is not influenced by the environment in which they come from. Right. And at the end of the day, those values that you were given as a child end up coming back to you eventually. I could think back to plenty of times in my life where I wanted to do stupid stuff or did dumb things, but at the end of the day, like I had to come back to who I am and what I was taught and what I was learned in my life, because ultimately, like those things are core. And I see snippets of people who helped raise me in my personality, if that makes sense. I see snippets of my mom, snippets of my grandmother. I see snippets of my brother. I see snippets of my cousins and my aunties and uncles. Like I see bits and pieces of all their personalities all meshed into one and that is what really kind of creates my personality. Yes. Now, some of the bad decisions I made probably don't account to people around me because they didn't make some of the same decisions that I made. But the environment in which I was raised in kind of influences the way I think and the way I do things now, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And hence you end up hearing, you act just like so-and-so. And and particularly, and I will say it like this because I've heard it, you act just like your dad. You act, or that's something I would hear, people say about my sister, you act just like your mother. And that's, it is, you are the product of those who have raised you. Your thought process, your filters in which we look at life and handle situations are based on what we have been taught from family, inside the household, and then of course the immediate, your extended family, aunties, uncles, grandparents, and so on, and then applying those filters or filtering the information, the outside world, through those lenses or through those filters, and making our decisions based on that. Some of them aren't always great decisions, but it's all based on the information that you have to work with, and which is why it's so important. That scripture talking about raising up a child in the way it should go.
And they should not.
That is correct, and that is it plays a huge part in how we turn out as adults or young adults even, and in our decision making and in our efforts in trying to grow in life and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a powerful dialogue. I think that a lot of people that we met and spoke with were amazing. I know we'll be having one of those people on our show this week. The prison doctor will be on the show, I think, on Wednesday.
Yes.
We turn right back around next week on Tuesday, and we're going to actually have a father who lost his son to gun violence. in Atlanta, in the Pittsburgh area of Atlanta, on next Tuesday. So I'm super excited about that. And I think that we not only have to have a dialogue behind it, but we need to be able to continue to hold conversations about it and about some of the issues and be honest. It's interesting because part of the reason why I'm here in Chicago is I actually had a chance to meet with clergy members and ex-gang members and talk about some of the programs they've implemented here to try to drive down gun violence. So hopefully we can bring some of those ideas back to the great state of Georgia and kind of replicate some of these items, because we have to do something to really start making a dent in our kids, man.
Yes.
In our kids.
Yeah, they are a reflection of who we are. And once we can do that, see, some of them will take to the information that's shared, what they gained from all of this, and be able to live outstanding lives. Some of them may go into politics. Some of them may become mentors and run organizations such as Black Push, such as Boys and Girls Club, and have an understanding in what is required of us. These are the kind of things, like the young lady that spoke, who was part of the Boys and Girls Club, who was first a youth member there, and then progressed into being one of the leaders and working for the organization. And I think she said she had just got promoted. So, you know, there's always avenues that are available for us to, for the youth to be able to, paths that they could travel, but they have to be exposed to it. And this is going to allow that exposure to take place. It's definitely going to save lives and make a difference. And one of the things that need to be taught for sure is how to interact with the police and the proper communication, if you will, with them, which could possibly save their lives. Now, you know, these are some of the things that they are seeing over social media on a regular basis, along with the rest of the world. But how to navigate it when it's your turn.
Right. And I'm just super excited about the opportunities that's getting ready to happen. I'm super excited about some of the things that we have been asked to be a part of, and we just got to make sure that we continue to carry the word. So I want to encourage people. We'll be putting out more information about the programs we're getting ready to roll out and participate with in Gwinnett and across the state. And we need volunteers. So if you're interested in volunteering, you want to make an impact in a child's life, please stay tuned to what we have going on. We'll continue to work together from there.
Absolutely. And please, folks, again, make sure that you're registered to vote. Yes, do everything you can, because your vote does matter, particularly at the city, county, and state levels. It's imperative that you be a part of the process.
So on another note, I'll be remiss if we don't mention that we have two big events coming up this week. We have a special invitation only event where we'll be hosting Jason Allen, the former NFL player for the Miami Dolphins, where he'll be talking about a school he's building in South Fulton and currently working on his second location down in Miami, Broward County area. So that's super exciting.
Awesome.
But highlight is for me, well, both events are exciting, don't get me wrong. But then we turn right back around on the 23rd and we have our second One Accord conference for the area. And I am super excited about that. I'm looking forward to it. We have some wonderful speakers, people who have been on this battlefield for a while. And I'm just super excited and want everybody who can participate, follow it on Facebook, follow it on YouTube. We'll be there. I mean, if you can't attend the event live and in person, because we do have a limit on the amount of people we can actually have within the building, we'll still be live. And I think that everybody needs to play a part and participate.
Yes, looking forward to it. And man, I'm just excited because the first one went off so, it went so well. I'm really looking forward to what we do, how this turns out both Friday and Saturday on the 22nd and 23rd of this month, and looking forward to it. It's just exciting times to be a part and being a part of the ground force, if you will, and like you said, being on the battlefield with some who have already have established themselves in the battle on the battlefield already. So looking forward to it and excited about what's getting ready to take place.
Yeah, and I mean, follow us on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, or you can find us on www.blackpush.org. More information, and we'll actually be putting out a promo video today in reference to the One Accord Conference. But before we end up, so we have a busy week ahead of us. I want everybody to stay tuned, join us. We have exciting information coming out. We are soon to be on Roku. I know we're on Spotify as of right now. So our platform for this is growing. And we'll be putting out more information on that as well this week, right?
Awesome. Yes, it is. Looking forward to it. It's exciting times around Black Push at this point.
It is, and I'm super excited about what we have going on. But another thing that's really important is that we are getting ready to actually have, we're getting ready to have these different events. We're getting ready to be a part of so many different things. So we're super excited. But also, too, we'll be remiss before we sign off for the day if we did not bring stuff. So this is a man who I have personally looked to a lot throughout my life. He's a hero of mine, American hero,
yes,
as well as personal hero. He served this country with so much pride and so much. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, at such a high level, as African, and he represented this country well. He was the first Secretary of State under President George W. Bush, and he was the first African American chairman of the chairman of the Joint Chief of Staff, which is the Army, basically. He served in that position as well. He's a Republican who stood up for the truth, and that's none other than former Secretary General Colin Powell. He passed away this morning. So our condolences to him and his family, man, because we know how much that is. I think we're showing a few pictures of him right now on the screen, but we know how much it is. And he lost his life to COVID this morning, even though he's fully vaccinated. But I don't want the message to get construed that vaccinations are meant to be there as a buffer to kind of prevent you from ending up dying and prevent you from the hospital. But at the same time, we have to realize that everybody's not who's fully vaccinated who catch COVID may not still survive. And that's a reality we have to deal with. But I am personally saddened by this today. And I think that America has lost a true hero, to be honest, in our culture. A true hero and a great example to what it means to serve our country. Even when at points where it seems like our country's not completely serving us, if that makes sense.
Yes, I completely agree with you on what you said about Colin Powell. I was very impressed with him with the way he handled and conducted himself in a great manner, with such dignity under the scrutiny of, with President Bush being scrutinized at that time, but he still held his ground and still held on to what he had going on. Like you, he's going to be missed. And actually, I kind of hope that he would have ran for president at some point. He definitely, I believe that he would have won if he had ran, but perhaps the society just wasn't ready for him at that particular time.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, again, he didn't run, but he served.
Yes.
And you don't have to be the top man in order to be to still have a huge voice, and his voice was just huge, irregardless. Yes. So I am floored. It was a shocker to me because I don't think I even knew that he was even in the hospital. But at the same time, I mean, being a man of faith, we know God doesn't make mistakes. Right. So we're praying for him and his family, that God will just touch their hearts during this time and be with them. And our salute on behalf of Black Push, on behalf of myself, our salute to a life well lived, a life well lived.
Amen. Absolutely.
So with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Thank you, James, for helping me out today. Thank you, Disco, for helping me out as well. And we look forward to this week. We have a busy week ahead of us. So please stay tuned to our website, stay tuned to our Facebook. We have so much going on this week, so many exciting things going on this week. This week is a week that you don't want to miss. It will be one for the history books. So join us on any of these events. All of these events, most of these events will be recorded live, and you'll be able to tune in on our Facebook page or our YouTube page, and other platforms as well as like Roku and Spotify. We'll send that information out later this week. But thank you guys. Stay blessed, stay safe, and remember that we have so much work to do, but we do more work when we're building better together versus building separately. So let's continue to build better together.